You're listening to the Business and Life Podcast, where 7 days a week, proven entrepreneurs share their success stories, failures, and give you true value on how you can build a great business and an awesome life. With your host, Mike Olivas.
Okay, Sarah, welcome to the show.
Hey, thanks for having me.
Absolutely. Thanks for taking the time. So tell the audience a little about what it is that makes maybe Sarah Shaw interesting. What's something interesting about yourself?
I'm a single mom of twins. I left Los Angeles and moved to Colorado about 7 years to raise them so they could become skiers and mountain bikers, which I have not.
Yes.
And live the good life out of a big city. And I love being a mom and living in the snow right now.
Yes.
I'm a beach girl. And I love what I do for a living and have fun every day.
I love that. I love you moved to kind of create that active lifestyle around the kids. That's awesome. What part, again, do you live in?
I live in Durango, Colorado.
Awesome. Yeah, no, Colorado is where the happiness is for me because that's where the snow is and that's where I love snowboarding. So you name a mountain probably in Colorado. I've been to it, but definitely plan on going out there again this winter to do because that's just, they get dumped and that's where we got to go, whether it's there in Utah. I go to Tahoe sometimes. Every year I go to Tahoe with an alumni trip and it's fun, but there's never snow. Honestly, sometimes I've gone without even with my snowboard. But lately we've had some great seasons. I hope you're having a great one out there as well. So tell us a little bit about what your company does. What kind of value does it bring to the marketplace?
So I teach mostly women, some men, how to get their products into stores, magazines, and how to get them to celebrities so that they can build their business credibility.
Okay, so is it kind of more, do you feel you found kind of a niche within the PR world?
Sort of, but a lot of what I do, yes, in the sense that we gift celebrities and use that to get into magazines, to sell online, to get into more stores. You know, it kind of all works in that circle, right? You know, one hand feeds the other. But a lot of what we do is helping designers get their products into boutiques, gift shops, you know, beauty stores, start at the small level, build a foundation of buyers that are coming back month after month before they take the leap into, you know, bigger department stores or big box stores.
Awesome. So you kind of help guide the hand of, let's say, entrepreneurs that have a product similar to, or is it service as well, or mainly products?
It's a product based.
Okay, product based. So if someone's listening that has a product based type of, or a product based, something that they want to get into either the hands of the right people, right, and also or into magazines, correct?
Magazines, celebrity hands, stores, and we do a lot of selling online too. Because,
sure,
you know, once you get a product to a celebrity or in a magazine, it's easy to get it out there online, put it on social media, get sales, ching.
Yeah. Once it has that snowball effect, the natural transition of definitely is to go on the online base. What kind of compelled you to do this? What's the story behind you creating this company?
Well, I had my own lines for many years, and I was very successful with my first handbag company, getting it to celebrities. Nobody had really been doing that. And I had worked in the film business for about 12 years prior, doing costumes for movies. And I was having dinner one night when I left the film business to start my own brand. I'm having dinner with a costume designer I worked with for many years, and she's just moaning about having to use Donna Karan clothes on an actor in a movie. And so I don't even listen to her. I'm just like, ching, ching, wait, idea. Like, why aren't I doing this? I'm such an idiot, right?
Sure.
So I just leave, I go home, I research the idea of gifting celebrities. And, you know, she was using them in a film, but I thought, well, why don't we take it one step further and just get it to them? And then maybe I can get it into magazines. And so I started doing that. It was much more difficult than it is today, because there were no internet databases back then.
Yeah, right.
This was like 1999. And I started doing that and then started getting products into movies. And I made a bag for Julia Roberts for Ocean's 11, and a bag that I made was used in Legally Blonde.
Oh, very cool. So have you, you've been in business for about 20 years?
Oh yeah.
That's awesome. So all this time in business, so our listeners are entrepreneurs, aspiring entrepreneurs, those that may want to jump into the game, but also, you know, I like to always ask the question of all those after 20 years, we know it's great to talk about successes, but I think there's not enough podcasts out there that talk about the failures. And it's important to realize that is extremely important to know as part of the process.
Of course.
Right, Sarah? And so give me an example of when you felt you kind of came close to rock bottom, or were close to that, or rock bottom, absolutely, because some have, and then how you overcame that challenge.
How much time do we have?
Yeah, I know. Right?
So here is the most rock bottom that I ever hit after 9/11. My investors pulled out of my brand, and I lost my company.
Wow.
So that was pretty
rock bottom.
Right. But the more rock bottom part of it was that I was very naive when I built the company. And because I had a corporation before I took on investors, and the lawyer for the company, when you have a company lawyer, for people who are starting a business, the lawyer is actually required by law to lawyer for the company, not for you. So it's always important to have your own attorney, but I didn't know that. So the lawyer trademarked the name of the company, my own name, Sarah Shaw, under the corporation name.
Oh.
And so when I lost my company, I also lost the trademark to my own name.
So as a separate entity, it was also your the trademark to the entity, and it was also under the trademark was under the entity, right?
Correct. It was filed under the name of the company.
Right.
So you always want to file your trademarks under your own personal name and then license it to your company to use.
That's great advice. Well, thank you
Yes.
for that. Your advice. That's coming that's what we're here for. Yeah, great.
Right.
That's
so
awesome.
That was a very low point in my life. And after I cried to my dad and played what a loser I was and how I didn't know how to do anything but babysit and make handbags, and what was I going to do with the rest of my life? I actually patented a closet organizer a couple years later for handbags and turned that into an extremely successful company. And that's actually what got me into consulting today, was that people wanted to know how I did that with one product. I was a one-hit wonder, and how I got it into 400 stores and did $500,000 in sales in the first 2 years.
Wow. Yeah.
So that's what I teach now. That
is a great, I mean, so you taught it from coming from, and I say that a lot of entrepreneurs, and also what I've noticed a lot from the people I'm interviewing on a daily basis, really it's the story becomes their message through one way or the other, right? And they've hit rock bottom like yourself. I mean, you lost the company, investors are out, 9/11 just happened, so everyone's skeptical about everything, right?
Yes.
And that was the case. People weren't buying anything. The economy was really in a pretty bad situation as well. So there's scarcity across the country, and you picked up and you figured it out and you got it done in a very, very short film. We don't have lifetime time here, right? We don't have a 3-hour segment, but like in a very, very short film, you picked it up, figured it out, created resilience, understood resilience of what it took, and you got it done. But there was that time where you cried to dad and that kind of stuff. And we're all going to do that, cry to friends, mom and dads and families and spouses and girlfriends. But realizing that you picked it up and got it done is huge. And then now you're showing others how to do it. And that's where I like to see, let's see that transition, is that the rock bottom sometimes and the biggest challenges become the biggest messages in our lives that we're able to kind of then take and say, here, how did I do this? Let me show others how to do it. What do you think?
Exactly.
So you've had 20 years of success, of course, and more failures, because that's just the way it works. We get that. You have to fail your way there, but also understanding that those speed bumps create the hikes inside of, let's say, revenue charts, right?
Right.
So what do you give, advice? Tell me why you feel entrepreneurs out there give up on their dreams and their goals.
Well, I think a lot of it has to do just with the struggle of trying to find the right way to do things. I'm not saying I'm the right mentor for everybody, but that I think people should find somebody, whether you go to SCORE and find someone for free who's been there, done that. You hire a business coach or, a mentor like me, somebody who's been there who can show you the shortcuts, because I think that having constant failures all the time can be really debilitating for a lot of people.
Sure.
And that you need to have some wins, right? So there's going to be, like we were just talking about, there's going to be failures no matter how awesome you are.
Life Nation, we're all striving towards different goals. Maybe your goal is to finally quit the 8 to 5 grind, quit your job, or take the next step with your existing business. Whatever the goal may be, regardless of your reasons, if you are serious about taking the next step and finally trying to build the life that you deserve, the life that you want to live, take the leap of faith. Go to michaellevis.com and let's discuss your goals and life. It's 100% free. There's no obligation. It's michaellevis.com. Schedule a quick call. I'd love to help.
And no matter what happens, it's going to happen. It could be small, could be big, right? But the challenges are always going to be there. And I think having someone in your back pocket who can help you pivot, right? Because being an entrepreneur, you've got to be able to pivot on a dime. You know, it's here today, gone tomorrow. Your website crashes, you know, whatever the situation is, how do you deal with it without having a total meltdown?
Sure.
And so, because those meltdowns can really set you back, you know, either financially, you make a huge mistake. You know, people come to me all the time. I just spent 40,000 on this and they didn't deliver. And it's like, you know, and you want to cry for them. But sometimes people have to make those mistakes and hit their own rock bottom before they can take that step to find the people who can help them climb out.
That's great advice. You also mentioned things like Score 411, I think, is out there. There's a lot of things there's a lot of resources out there, business and life listeners. So if you're not Googling things like free, like government, SBA, there's other different types of agencies and organizations that are there to help you. So definitely take a look at those. And of course, we know there's a lot of, I call CEOs sometimes that might be listening that have a small business, chief everything officers, right? And we know that they're doing everything. And so understanding that kind of support is important. If you can't afford a specific coach, someone like Sarah that can do it, there's obviously resources out there to help you out. So, Sarah, what are you really excited about in your business right now?
I'm super excited about the new program I started teaching this year, because I've done private consulting for the last 10 years. But what I realized is I was creating women dependent on me for everything. And that was never my intention. I always wanted to create amazing CEOs, women who could take the bull by the horns, you know, run their own show. And so this year I moved into an online training program. So I made a massive video training masterpiece, I guess. And it's a membership site, and you learn everything that I've done over the last 10 years and what I have taught people how to do. And so that's what I'm encouraging people to do right now.
I think that's a great model. I think a lot of people that I know, and I do some coaching and consulting as well, and it scales. It scales a lot more, right? And you're able, and when we talk about that, it's not a selfish thing out there for listeners like, oh, these guys are looking at for the money. The reality of it is we like to do it because although yes, there's a money aspect in it, we give a service, but when it's all said and done, we're able to get out to more people and impact more people. And that's what's important, is the message gets out there and more people are now learning, and hopefully at some point they turn into teachers as well. And we're all kind of trying to teach the knowledge that we have with podcasts like this, with the ones that you listen to that aren't this, and of course, for all the YouTube videos that you may be watching, hopefully you're YouTube in this one. So, when it comes to the training of women, have you found a way that you felt like you kind of get along with the women demographic first? I mean, it's really cool, by the way. You carved out a niche within a niche, and I've done that with some of my companies. So did you find that niche to be more something that just falls in line with you, your personality?
I think it's more that I find my expertise is with girly products. For the most part, most women design the girly products, you know, whether it's for babies or, you know, women, children, widgets, gadgets. And there's 3 or 4 men in my group, but they all design products that are purchased by women.
Right. Okay. Yeah. I've never really created a handbag. Maybe if it's made out of like what a football's made out of in the picture. Color, right? But if you're just listening and watching this, I'm not that manly. I have like a pink shirt on or something right now, so I'm probably not really selling myself really that well, but maybe I'm just confident. So so we talk a little bit about like the business and life a lot, not a little bit, because that's what it's called, of course, the podcast. So I like to ask questions like how you're currently, or how you've been able to build after 20 years of life that you truly want to live within, letting the business be the engine.
I think that for me, it's really about pivoting as well and looking at what the world needs from me, right? I feel like I have so much to offer. I've been, you know, through every ringer out there, and I've seen, you know, massive failure, right? And I've seen huge success in my life. I mean, I've had 6 companies over the last, 25 years. Yeah. And, you know, just 2 of them happen to be, in the fashion industry. But the other ones were movie business related, and then this company. But I think it's really looking at what is needed out there and where people need support in the world, and doing my business the way I'm doing it now with this membership program has just kind of lightened the load for me, and also let me really find the joy in what I do, because people are having such huge success with it. And I'm not repeating myself all the time, right? They watch the videos, they learn, and I can spend my time actually helping them get to the next level. Whereas I'm not telling people over and over again how to do something. So it's kind of changed that for me.
Well, I think that you hit it on the dot there. Like, you're able to have the time now. You're no longer exchanging time for money, right? And that's such a normal thought process for all of us growing up, where mom and dad went to work from 8 to 5. And that was just like, oh, that's when they make money, and this is when they spend time with me. And so trying to build the life that you want to live, and doing so by taking your skill set, right, Sarah, and then being able to scale it on the membership angle, which is great, because now you're hitting more people. Sounds like a win-win. Plus, you're happy, right? You're not pulling your hair out. You're not having 1 hour calls with 10, 15 clients every week, because that can be repetitive and redundant. And then sometimes you get just as embedded as you, almost just as much as they are, into their company, right? So you're thinking about that when you're going to sleep, and thinking about that when you're waking up, and that's a lot. I do it myself now, and I'm also going towards the mastermind angle. But what do you feel is the light at the end of the tunnel for you, Sarah? Like, you built the businesses, you've done it for years, and what is the end game for you, Sarah, for Sarah Shaw?
Gosh, I can't even see that far into the future. I'm just kind of a live in the moment kind of girl.
Great. Yeah, if you're enjoying it, you're enjoying the journey.
Yeah, and I'm just having so much fun with this. And I think what I really love about this model of business is because I do 2 Q&A calls a week. Yeah. So people hop on the calls. I love that, like, flash thinking, right? Where you're just, you have to think in the moment. And I find that invigorating. And I'm an idea person. I mean, I just can come up with a million ideas in 10 minutes for somebody when I hear about it. And I find that invigorating. Like, I get off the calls and I'm like, wait, that's it? Nobody has any more questions? Okay, talk to you in a few days, you know, and I just feel so jazzed about it. Like, I could just, I should go to the gym after I do these calls, not before. Oh yeah. It just, gets my endorphins going, and I'm just pumped. And I just was like, wow, that was a really great idea. I mean, one day I came up with a whole new business model for somebody in like 5 minutes, an extension of their brand. And they're like, do we owe you for this? I was like, no, if you do it, fun. Just send me send me flowers. Absolutely. Yeah, no, it's so fun. And I agree with you. The Q&A stuff on the spot. Plus, it just keeps you on top of your toes, right? Yeah. Like that, and I love that. I think that's great that you're able to do that, and you help out some of the listeners, I guess, or some of the people that you work with, Sarah. So, and the final question I always like to ask, it's a tough one sometimes, is out of all your successes and failures, like, what's the one piece of business and life parting advice that you give to the Business and Life Nation today? Oh, that's easy. Yeah. Good. Some people like, always follow your intuition. And I found, like, all through all my businesses, whenever I got stuck and I was like, oh, I don't know if I should do that. When I always went the wrong way, it was a total sucky failure. Even like if you're a designer listening, if someone says, oh, you got to hit this trend, you got to do that, you got to include black leather or whatever. And you're like, my people don't want black leather. And somebody says, well, you got to have it. Go with your instinct. Don't just do it, because it will be a total failure. And I think that most successful business owners really know how to follow their instincts and their gut, like, see how it feels deep down in your belly. And if you got butterflies and it's clenching, do not do it. I think that's a great point. Just kind of follow the gut on it. There's a reason why you got it and the reason why you feel that way. Sarah, where can people find you? You can find me at sarahshawconsulting.com. There you have it, sarahshawconsulting.com. Sarah, thank you so much for dropping your knowledge for our listeners today, and I thank you for that. Yeah, thanks for having me. Absolutely. Life Nation, you got to remember that in order for things to change, you must change. And in order for things to get better, you must get better. You just got better by hanging out with me, Michael Libas, and the Business and Life Nation. So come back tomorrow, because I'm here dropping sound bombs 7 days a week, baby. If you'd like to subscribe, please do, so you can take action and execute. See you tomorrow.